And welcome back, esports fans, for another exciting week of the PCS summer. We've got a lot of games today, not just 6, we've even got a 7th, and we're going to get right into the action in just a little bit. I am Pyrotechnics, he is Clement Chu, and we here at the PCS are sponsored by our wonderful sponsors. You see them below: CTBC Bank, China Airlines, and Chunghwa Telecom. All right, Clement, we are starting off right into the action with our game that was postponed last week. It is going to be Alpha Esports and Boom Esports. I'm very excited for this one. Alpha, they have a climb ahead of them, and Boom, they're red hot.
Yeah, exactly. We have some unfinished business ahead of us. A bit of technical difficulties at the end of week 3 prevented us from going into this one, but we're going to catch up right now. And like you mentioned, Boom Esports had a very close game against PSG and actually beat Beyond Gaming. So this is one of those teams that's definitely looking to crack into the top 4 of the PCS.
Yeah, Boom have certainly put their mark on this league, and they are showing no signs of letting up. But we'll see their challengers first on the blue side today. It will be Alpha Esports. That is 3Z in the top side, K-Babe in the jungle, Xiao2 in mid, On and Sheng rounding out our duo in the bottom side. And this is a team that have had some struggles. They managed to find a win a couple weeks ago, but it was against Liab, who have been in a similar situation. And unfortunately, they haven't been able to pick one up since. And this is a team that just, they have a hard time staying alive. Highest deaths in the league, and it's not even close.
They still have a bit of laning issues, I would say, from the top and bot lane specifically, but they do play a ton of champions, which is why I actually like watching Alpha Esports. Their drafts from Laba have been pretty good so far. Now, going to the other side of the aisle, we do have Holo showing up. This is only going to be his 5th game in the league so far, but I think he's had a very decent performance. But I guess we have no time to talk about him because we're blazing right into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into it when we get into the actual match itself, talking about Holo and his startup. But our featured matchup, of course, today is going to be in the bottom side on the veteran taking on Wako here, who I think has definitely been showing up, especially on that Ezreal in particular. It's proven to be a hugely comfortable champion for him. And while the bottom lane hasn't had as much impact as the rest of the map, he's certainly made his presence known.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see Wako starting to perform a little bit better. Typically, he is on the weak side of the map, and we've seen massive improvements from the top side coming out of Boom Esports. So there's been a bit of a flip here this season where they do play around Rocky just a bit more, and we have Rocky with that 100% win rate, Gwen, and just doing really well on all sorts of aggressive champions. So I think Wako has found his stride in a more, I would say, a little bit smaller of a position in terms of the early game, but he's still a great carry later on. While On, I feel like he needs to carry this team from start to finish. This is something that his team has not really been showing up in the top lane. We have 3Z with probably the most different champions played so far out of any top laner. He so far has 8 different champions picked, but hasn't gone for anything really steady. I don't think a lot of things are working in top lane. So when it comes to Alpha Esports, you really expect much more from their mid jungle and much more from On playing something aggressive.
Yeah, we'll have to see if that is going to change, and if we expect them to maybe try and go for those strategies that you mentioned, a little more aggressive moves from On. I would like to see him back on the likes of the hyper carries. Has tried a handful of times. But we are into the picks and bans, and Alpha Esports will open up by banning out the LeBlanc, one of those champions that here has had 100% presence in the split, if I do my math correctly, and that's going to continue as it's banned away. Volibear, and of course the Viego ban. Holo in his 5th game, as you mentioned, he has played a couple of games of that. Volibear has had some great success on that champion, and it does seem like a fair amount of jungle focus with the bans. Of course, K-Babe's Olaf taken away, as well as the ever-present Xin Zhao, and Alpha will go for an early lock-in of the Zig. So going on a very different type of champion, a lot of wave clear.
Yeah, just trying to keep himself alive. This is pretty interesting for me because I don't think Sheng is a roaming support that much. So usually I would expect something more aggressive like the Kalista or Varus, especially when it's open. And another interesting thing about the draft is Alpha Esports actually self-banned LeBlanc. This is their go-to win condition for Xiao2, because Xiao2 is, from what we've seen, probably their best player in terms of mechanics. But because Ruby has been showing up so great on this champion as well, they now have to take it away from themselves. And on the flip side, I feel like Boom Esports, this draft for them, much more comfortable. We are going to get the 100% win rate Rocky Gwen, and also I would say Holo's best showing out of any of his games is going to be the Lee Sin jungle, which he is very proficient on. We saw a lot of 2v2 play between him and Ruby when they were on this combo.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I was about to say, if this were one patch earlier, maybe the Lee Sin could be argued to be a flex up, as Rocky's already shown it, but much more likely to be in the hands of Holo. On the Alpha side, we do see an answer with the Trundle and the Leona, so a decent bit of CC coming in here, and we'll see if KB is able to pilot the Trundle that has been picking up some steam as a jungle choice. Boom on their side, they're going to lock in the Sivir for Wako, and that's a new one.
I like this pick. Yeah, Sivir, we have been seeing her used as a counter pick against the Varus, and against something like the Ziggs, I think the logic is very similar. You are trying to spell shield against skills that honestly take quite a while to land. Bouncing Bomb is not the fastest of skill shots, so you can get your mana back, you can push him in, and I really think that cancels out a lot of what makes Ziggs so viable in the meta. If he can't really push the lane, if he can't really free his support to roam elsewhere, then, honestly, what is he doing? He's a lot weaker and basically just has to wait for the later stages of the game.
I like as well slotting in the Sivir for later stages of the game. Keep in mind, right, Boom are the slowest team in the league. They have an average game time of just under 36 minutes. It's not even close. They do like to take their time. Obviously, some spanners in the works could throw that statistic a little out there, like that 49-minute romp with PSG. But in a later game, I do like the idea of, the Sivir, the run-at-you composition. That ultimate is kind of a solid ability to start closing gaps. And, everyone remembers the 400 CS Sivir of days of yore. I wonder if that's still relevant.
Yeah, I personally do not want games to go that long, but if it happens, then I'm glad for him. That's all I'm going to say.
It's probably not going to happen this time.
Maybe. Sivir and Gwen, I was about to say that's a pretty good combo, but Sivir and Yuumi, that's even more fun. That's a lot of chase down potential coming in.
I like this. It's a just run at them forehead comp. I love it. It's so much fun to watch. And when you talk about like a champion like Gwen who can close gaps but can't, land a lot of CC, it's pretty terrifying when she's going to get the speed boost. On the Alpha side, let's see if they're going to answer with a Camille. They do for 3Z in the top side. That is another new champion for 3Z, continuing to showcase that pick diversity top.
Yeah, 9 champions and counting so far. We'll see what Alpha Esports bring. They're going to go with the Cannonball composition, which I like what Alpha Esports has drafted so far. They have a pretty easy to execute combo. Everyone presses their R button, they fly in at the same time, and they delete a target. Really strong catch potential, great team fight potential, a lot of AoE crowd control as well. On the other side for Boom Esports, this is much more of a chase down composition. You move across the map from left to right, you get priority in one lane, as typically in the mid, and then you start going into the side lanes before anyone on Alpha Esports side can react. So I really like what they have, and I want to see Zoomies win. That sounds like a nightmare. That is terrifying. All of those snips are going to be doing true damage because it can allow her to position a lot easier. You don't have to rely on needlework landing to chase people up, so it's easier to get your full channel onto your ultimate as well. And that seems really deadly. I like the idea behind this composition, and if you look at Boom Esports, a lot more damage coming out from the right side. This is definitely a comp that, in my eyes, has far better scaling than what we have from the left.
Yeah, Alpha are going to want to try and make this go a little bit faster than Boom normally would like, and they have the tools in the kit to do it. The question is, do they have the coordination? That's always been the struggle for this team. Are they able to get together on the same page, make the plays? As you mentioned, Clement, it's one of the easier compositions to do it. They all just need to press the R button at around the same time, and you have to think that that's going to be something that they should be able to execute on if Boom give them an opening, and that's always a big if.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be the greatest question of this game. Alpha Esports, execution, if they can't execute on this, they're not going to be able to execute on anything. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. Like, this is probably the easiest composition you can possibly draft for yourself. But the problem is, are they going to actually have lane prio to do any of it? Because if we look at the lanes here, you do expect Sivir to actually come out of that lane ahead. She should be able to push against the Ziggs. The same thing goes for the Azir. And I think the Gwen versus Camille matchup doesn't really go into Camille's favor until much later in the game. And if she falls behind, then never goes into her favor. So Alpha Esports, short group together, incredibly powerful, should be able to execute this well, given the difficulty level. But at the same time, the question is, can they actually start moving out of their own lanes? And especially that mid lane, where you do have a semi-global in Xiaotu. We have to play close attention to if he's going to run with the Predator, or if he is going to go for more of the team fight usual in the Aftershock, to kind of tell us what he's thinking about in these situations.
Yeah, have to keep an eye on the runes that do get picked as we look to load up onto the Rift for our first game tonight. Those of you waiting patiently as we had to postpone this one at the end of last week, we'll finally get our answer. Who will reign supreme here between Alpha Esports and Boom? Alpha are looking for their second win of the split, looking to try and string them together here in the next phase of the round robin, but they picked a heck of an opponent to try and do it against tonight. Boom have been red hot, and honestly, the only team I think that really came quite close to taking down the top dogs, PSG. We'll see what Boom Esports do tonight here as we get all spawned up. I like this composition. I do like a good old run at them comp, and watching a Sivers with the zoomies on from a Yumi, with the Gwen possibly getting that as well. Very aggressive rune choices from Rocky, or summoner choices, I should say. It looks like we do have a quick pause as we get to start things up, but we do have eyes on that at very least, Clemens. So I think Rocky's sending a message as always.
Yeah, so one more week in the PCS, one more week of everyone flashing the scream and just going with the emo banter. I love our players in the PCS.
I really love the emotes being available all game long, right? And it's not just rest. It's everybody in this league that does like to flash them. It adds a lot more personality and flavor. You can tell what people are thinking by what emotes they're using, or at least what they want you to think they're thinking.
The crying dog is also really popular. We saw that one being flashed over by Xiaotu as well. The one just like lying on its side and like crying into a pond beneath itself. That one has, I think it has so much range. I would definitely say it's an S tier emote because you can showcase how distraught you yourself are, or you can try to meme the opponent's sort of anguish. So it works both ways.
Yeah, it has multiple uses.
For sure. We're going to be taking a look at the runes so far, and I like the setup from Alpha Esports. It showcases that they are very, very aware that the problem with their composition is actually getting prio. So you have a triple TP comp from their side, and you also have the Predators from Xiaotu. This is what I want to see. This means that if K-Babe can find a 2v2 win against Holo and Ruby, then they can transition the Galio out quite easily. That's exactly what they need to actually start making plays on the map. And taking a look at the jungle starts so far, both sides actually going to go for the bottom lane. I personally find this pretty interesting because usually when you have two top laners with no flashes on either side, you have all junglers heading towards the top side, but that is not going to be the case here. So whoever comes out on top is just going to stay on top, at least for the first rotation.
Yeah, and that's going to be pretty big news here for the likes of Rocky or 3Z, both actually going with that aggressive start with the Ignite and Teleport instead of a Flash or the likes of it. So would expect some potentially explosive starts, but Rocky has just had such a solid run here in the PCS, has really leveled up, I think, from the spring performance even, and we'll just get the early level 2 prio onto 3Z, and that is a lot of damage already being dealt. Man, he might even force him out of lane.
Yeah, that was a weird attempt for 3Z. He thought he would be able to equalize the trade because he had his passive up the adaptive defenses, but Rocky had an extra level, and he did not take kindly to that challenge whatsoever. So you have 3Z being shoved back immediately, and this is pretty detrimental because it's actually very possible for Rocky to just snip up a kill onto him. He has that Ignite ticking, true damage goes through the shields, and that's one of the fun things about Ignite versus Camille's, that actually your adaptive shields can't block out either one, because normal shields actually can deal with true damage, but not Camille's shields. So kind of interesting to see how that one will pan out there.
Yeah, a little unfortunate for the likes of Camille. Taking a look across the rest of the map, too. We've got Ruby on this Azir in the mid, going to double up with Holo for a little bit of river control. I think they might have spotted K-Babe. No, the ward does get an eye on him as they look to maybe close in. Instead, they're going to have to settle for the scuttle.
So I like this. We are returning to normal here. Both of the junglers, after taking their double buffs, immediately transition towards the top side. Want to make sure that that lane doesn't go too poorly on either end. And we get 3Z now with the lane pushback, with the potential of the jungler around here. So he can make this okay, stay in the lane okay, and if Rocky freezes, then at least he can have K-Babe to help here. Now we do have K-Babe showing in the bot lane once more, and I do want to talk a little bit about Trundle plus Ziggs. It's actually a PCS special. We were the first in the entire world to play Trundle support and Ziggs, and after that it was played in the LCK and the LEC as well. So congratulations to K for making that happen. And that's the sort of power of the combo that we've seen so far.
We got action both sides of the map here, Clement. That's a quick first blood as Holo flashes to finish the damage. We had our eyes locked on the bottom where Wako popped every button he had just to try and get away. But in the end, first blood goes to Boom Esports up top side.
Yeah, and this is why I was a little bit worried about K-Babe actually showing himself bottom lane, because the lane state from 3Z was actually not very good. It was pushing into his opponent, and his opponent already had an HP lead. So Boom Esports just recognized the situation. You can see right now the lane is still pushing towards Rocky. So it was a little bit weird for K-Babe showing there without getting a full rebound on 3Z. So we can watch this again. Oh, it was actually 3Z actually managed to hold himself okay in the lane. But the TP response in with Holo waiting on the wings, that was just way too much to handle. And Holo lands everything. This is something that I really want to see more of Holo. So far, Alex has a 2.9 KDA, while Holo has done much better with a 5.1. Of course, the opponents that he's faced are generally lower on the rankings, but he's had a lot of carry performances. So, I do want to see this youngster a little bit more onto the Rift with Boom Esports.
Yeah, and I'm liking that they're peppering him in, but you're right. I'd like to see a little bit more of him as well. The last time we saw Holo was in that matchup against PSG. He's always acquitted himself incredibly well, I think. And it does seem like Boom are playing around with their starting roster, or at least trying to give both their junglers a little bit of time, but Holo has been getting less. Meanwhile, it's actually K-Babe that finds him in the jungle here. I don't know if Holo is going to be super worried about that one as the pillar goes down. Maybe he should be, though. Might have to hop away. Doesn't have flash. The ward hop is there. The follow, and K-Babe with a solo in the jungle.
That was a beautiful pillar. Actually took him away from the wall, and you could tell that Holo was really struggling to get around that trundle. Really good body blocking, just great mechanical play. Usually you don't think Lee Sin is going to die to that play there, but he didn't have the flash, and the body blocking was just on point from K-Babe to make that ward hop so much slower. He not only gets the kill, I thought he was going to take the pink ward, but he does the smart play, goes for the Drake immediately. I would have went for the pink ward. It just feels wrong to leave that pink there, but congratulations to K-Babe. He makes the right move.
Yeah, eyes on the prize on that one. They will grab the Infernal as a result of the timing. So despite Boom having a little bit of a gold advantage, very slim in this one, good move by Alpha Esports. Meanwhile, three-man gang squad here looking out for Wako. Doesn't have level 6 yet, frozen to main. There is going to be the cutoff, and Pop is going to have to pop his way away and leaves Wako for dead. I don't think he was getting out of that one anytime soon. Still didn't have his flash.
Yeah, that was a pretty interesting play from Alpha Esports. So I think the main thing there was that On still held on to his teleport, and Boom Esports were expecting the Ziggs to actually teleport back. So they thought they were all back in base right now. They definitely saw the Drake going down over to K-Babe, but they just thought it was going to be a clean reset. So great on Alpha Esports for just waiting that extra second and making Boom Esports just fall into their trap. Really well, nicely played right there. And that also sort of highlights the strength of the Trundle plus Ziggs combination that we've actually seen. It's that you put the pillar down, they have to walk across it, and then you guide them straight into a minefield plus a satchel shard. So it's, when we first saw
pretty disgusting.
When we first saw K with the Trundle, we weren't that impressed by it, but over the week, I've been really growing on this one. Or Rocky,
I think we're going to see another. Yeah, 3Z. I mean, that might have been the easiest gank of all time, but 3Z did have kind of the inside track on Rocky, and all of a sudden Alpha are all over the map, and they're going to look to do more, but Boom are the ones in the mid right now, forcing the Zhao to flash, and he can't quite walk away in time. Holo will get some revenge. This should open up for the Rift Herald by K-Babe. And honestly, K-Babe has kind of been all over the place for his team in the early game, really setting up well for Alpha Esports. And this is a level of coordination I think we haven't seen from this squad.
Definitely have not. Whatever happened over this hiatus from week 3 to week 4, Alpha Esports looked a lot better. I don't think I've ever saw like Sheng leave lane and roam that aggressively, be coordinated with his jungler that usually is playing on a different server for that play to really happen. And this is getting really intriguing. You get Alpha Esports with the kill lead here, and now both bottom lanes just kind of playing that 1v1. And this is something that I did want to track going into this game, is like how well Sivert was going to do into Ziggs, and it looks like so far that she has no problem actually just pushing him in without even the Essence Reaver being completed here. So that is something that we do have to pay attention to. It basically means that whenever Sheng is roaming and also Pop is roaming, then Wako should get a little bit of an advantage in lane.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more of a dynamic bot lane than we might have expected in a lot of other cases where the bottom lane is really just kind of focused on holding and being the farm fest. It's a much faster farm fest this time around. Always wanted to keep track on what happens in the boom mid lane too, because while Xiaotu has got his eyes certainly fixed a little bit more globally, Ruby can do kind of all of the above and has been building up a healthy lead for himself. I think Ruby has definitely started to impress. I really liked his Victor in the previous week. He kind of ran roughshod over the competition, and is proving that some of these more mage-like champions can still work. Now, K-Babe up to the top side looking for Rocky on the outside of his mist, and just can't get away. Xiaotu really wanted that assist, isn't going to be able to pick it up.
Yeah, that was nicely done, but a bit of an overinvest coming in from Xiaotu. He's going to be giving up one extra plate here. Great play by K-Babe. The lane state this time around much better for them. It was in the middle of the wave. No flash on the Gwen. Very easy to just chase her down after that. And I don't think Holo can actually do much to save this tower here. It is going down into range where, you know, the Herald charge is just going to leave it at a calm breeze will be able to take that down. Or maybe the Herald will take that down itself.
Ruby's here.
TP on the Herald?
Holo! Do they get the kill onto K-Babe right now? Looking for it. Can't quite. Yes, they do. Looking for 3Z as well. Tower does go down, but Boom were fixated on picking these kills back up. And that's 2 to Ruby.
That was such a weird play, because the tower actually killed K-Babe, so... not K-Babe, killed 3Z, so... I'm actually pretty sure he would be a lot better if he actually just TP'd to a minion. So...
yeah, I don't know. Let's see that again. That hurt my brain a little.
Yeah, so we can see here that the TP doesn't come down on the minion. Instead, it does come down on Shelly herself. So the extra tower shot actually... Yeah,
Shut down.
Okay. I guess he showed up, but he pretty much showed up and left because he killed the rest of his team, so...
Oh, we're not done yet. Oh, hold up. He's trying to get out of there with the Yuumi ult landing on nothing on the back half. Okay, so they're fine. Yeah, let's go back to that a second, because Xiaotu left and then came back. I was going to say before all that went down, maybe he should just stick around for plates, because his mid-turret was going to get chunked out anyways.
You know the saying, better late than never? That's not always
I guess,
true.
yeah. Wako, he's got absolutely nowhere to go. And again, we see Boom's bottom laner popping everything to try and stay alive, but they still just funnel him into death.
Yeah, really beautiful play there. And this was with Wako with double sums up as well. That really showcases the power of that combination. So, you know, once we get through that sort of mind meld there, Alpha Esports actually grab themselves back the gold lead. Ruby does not get a good push here and just dies to it.
Absolutely, and meanwhile, Holo just pushing onto Shung. It's just kills across the map. We got 6-6 right now, and everyone's just hunting Xiaotu, 3Z, K-Babe, all on Holo. He's going to try and dash his way away, but the Hextech ultimatum comes through with Yuumi on. I don't know if him or Pop are going to live right now. That's going to be one. Rocky turns his attention on to K-Babe, tries to get some snips and slashes. Not going to be enough, but meanwhile, in comes Wako with the boomerang blade. Can't quite find enough damage as he gets to the relative safety of the turret, or is it as 3Z is running wild? Clement, this is a nutty game right now. Wako trying to bait, but he gets baited himself. Xiaotu even getting the kill,
the
and it's going to be Pop living. Xiaotu tower shot. What the heck just happened?
Oh, they went way too over-aggressive on that, and the adaptive shield came up as a magic shield, so didn't really help against the tower shot whatsoever. I was a bit unfortunate from Alpha. They had everything in that fight, but did give a bit back in the back end there. We'll watch this play again from Holo. Just can't miss with those sonic waves, and he's got the zoomies with him too. Flashes forward to chase down the kill. Holo with the clean 2v2 and the double, but this is where the Punisher squad does come in here. You can tell Alpha Esports does not care about keeping the minion waves. They leave top lane completely open, and that's absolutely the correct decision because they have great target focus to then swap it around and focus down Gwen as well. At this point, Wako looks like he might be able to get a cleanup kill, but 3Z gets the second proc of true damage on that precision protocol and is able to chunk Wako enough for the hookshot finish to kill him off. But this was just disastrous. You can tell 3Z, he gets his passive, it's the magic shield, the tower hit kills him, and then Xiaotu cannot cancel his ultimate. He's already bought his single-way ticket on towards 3Z, and follows him into the fountain.
Okay, a little bit of housekeeping. We did see the Dragon going down to Alpha Esports after the, excuse me, to Boom Esports after the fact. Holo picking that up, but Clement, as a NA resident, I believe I am qualified to say that that was a certified NA ram down bottom side.
That was absolutely crazy. Alpha Esports should have been much further ahead out of that play, but they gifted over 2 kills on the back end. I will say though, this game state is still very favorable for them because the map is open on Boom Esports side. The top tower is already down. That means that 3Z can roam across the map, and they have a very easy to execute composition. You know, I think they have their the bullseye right onto Wako's back. They know that even with Yumi next to him, he's still a very easy target to kill with the Trundle Pillar coming down. So
he's gonna go for the kill himself.
Yeah.
On to On, they pop out, Yumi holo tags his way in, and they're just going to go for the auto attack kill, although Wako, he miscalculated a little bit. They're going to have to go in for more. It's going to be Ruby that ends up claiming the kill. That was a little bit of a misconnection.
They still do get the kill, but they get it so late that they're not actually able to put any tower damage down, which I think is going to be critical in this game. If you look at the top side right there, we just had K-Babe taking away the second Herald, and also 3Z being able to push completely unopposed here. So, you know, not getting that tower or delaying on these kills does actually transfer to real gold on Alpha Esports side as we might disengage from Ruby.
Yeah, Ruby kind of forced into a bad situation there, or at least he didn't realize how many members of Alpha were present, and now all four of them, rather, I should say, are there, plus the Rift Herald. Alpha certainly has their eyes set on the prize. They actually don't even need the Shelly charge, managing to finish the tower without actually letting that one execute, and Ruby can't quite clear the wave here. This should be a quick 2 for the Alpha Esports side. Do they actually want to take the fight, though? That's the question. It doesn't look like it now, and they will back away.
Yeah, most of this play does come from the fact that that kill just took Boom Esports so long to get in the bottom side of the map. We saw Wako stayed around for the tower and then had to do a full reset before he was able to walk out of his own base. So Alpha Esports, I like this. They're striking back. They know that they lost a member on the bottom side, but they calculate the tempo advantage and they're able to utilize it on the into the mid lane itself. So I think Alpha this game has been super impressive. Like, the ability to play with tempo, to play with coordination is something we haven't seen from this squad that has been 1 in 9 so far.
Absolutely. And I think it can be at least somewhat explained by the composition they went for. It's a lot easier to execute than some of the stuff we've seen from them so far. But at the same time, there's clearly been a level up. I wonder if they can keep this up throughout the rest of the split. If this is the new normal, I'd love to see it. But Alpha have really been impressive today, and we have had a very back-and-forth game in terms of kills, maybe getting a little too hype on a couple of sides, but it makes for some exciting League of Legends, and right now, in terms of gold, in terms of kills, it is bang on even, but Alpha are very happy with the pace of things.
Yeah, and recapping what happened this game, I think most of it did start from K-Babe, getting that solo kill versus Holo, just a stutter step on the Drake to convince Wako that they've actually left lane for a reset. A lot of these moves and a lot of these lanes being opened up have been coming from K-Babe and his Trundle. That was the biggest question I posed to Alpha Esports, like, could they actually get out of the laning phase against Boom Esports that should be able to wrestle priority away from them just based on the picks? And the answer is because of K-Babe's roams, because of his duels, he's actually been able to free Alpha Esports, and now they have this composition where I think it's at their zenith. You're talking about 2 items across the board. This is definitely when they're strongest. I would give the edge over to Boom Esports at 3, but right now, Alpha Esports has all the weapons.
They wanted to go for the fight. Shung certainly was sniffing for it, but he burns everything. Can't quite find a target as the Yumi tags in to Rocky, and Rocky's looking to cut off Xiaotu right now. That's a big old needlework landing. Exhaust on. They don't quite find him, but they do realize they can get that kill, so they will finally follow through. Xiaotu had turned away from the rest of his team not to give an opportunity for an extended chase, but now Alpha, a member down, are going to be in a tough spot trying to contest this dragon if they even get out alive here. Wako leading the charge on the front line, looking for more. Ruby shuffles Shang back. Is that going to be enough damage? Holo will take out 3Z on the side. Boom are looking to turn the game back in their favor, and they managed to pick up 3 for none.
There's a saying in Chinese that you cannot praise someone before they have already accomplished what they set out to do. And I think that was a bit of a caster curse right there. We were praising Alpha for their coordination, and right after that play, that was the most lopsided team fight I've ever seen. Xiao2 just as punches, I think, in the wrong direction into the enemy team, and just gives up to life. And then you have 3Z trying to cut the wave, but he takes over 60% of his HP for just like 2 minions and dies instantly. So Alpha Esports just have an epic collapse. It's so bizarre to see this, and we're gonna get a replay of it. It is Alpha Esports that is the one trying to get this one going. I understand the logic here because Azir is very far away. We have Ruby TPing in to come into this fight. But after Shung fails, let's watch Xiao2 here. He actually justice punches and gets left behind. Great body blocking coming in from, I believe, Rocky to keep him in place. And Xiao2 just dies when I frankly think he could have gotten away and should have gotten away. And then watch this play. 3Z tries to cut the wave after taking a missile from Yuumi where he slowed down and just gives over probably the easiest kill of Holo's life there.
Yeah, that was just like a series of unfortunate moves by Alpha, and Boom just really like managed to open up onto them. I think it was Alpha who wanted the fight too. You saw Chung sniffing around for it. He even burned a Solar Flare just to try and find somebody, and then the Zenith Blade didn't land on the pop as he was able to you and me in there. But Boom took the opportunity, realizing the cooldowns were in their favor. Now they're going to be pushing onto the tower up top. Ruby and Holo will combine. Teleport flank coming here. If Boom don't realize it, this could be a trap as 3Z comes in. They're looking to back away, but here comes 3Z in on 2. Both of them shuffled back. Holo and Ruby burning the flash away. In comes Xiao2. They might be able to find the Lee Sin. No, he is safeguarded away.
Rocky?
And Rocky is sacrificed as he makes a bit of an oopsie on that teleport play.
That's going to lead straight into Baron if they're not careful about this. We do have a reset coming out, and there's no TP on Ruby, so Ruby does have to stay around. I like that call, and Alpha Esports are hunting for him. They do have the inside track onto the top lane, so... Oh, but Wako is the target.
Oh, dear. Oh, flashes the Zenith Blade. Just gets the tip of the spell shield. Oh, that is clutch. Wako's going to be able to walk away. Meanwhile, Holo and Xiao2 1v1 in the mid lane right now. And I think despite the level discrepancy, Holo feeling pretty happy about that as Xiao2 retreats to the safety of the rest of his team.
Yeah, really messy fight. But in comes K-Babe once more. Oh, only gets a Lee Sin, so that's not really going to help them out. But Boom Esports were on very close to the verge of just losing out on that Baron. I felt like for Alpha, they could have executed that that play a little bit smoother. We did see the hero's entrance come down before Ruby actually used his E, so was able to still get out on the very end. And now Boom Esports are the one to start this one up again in plain vision. Another pretty risky move, given that they actually can get chased down quite easily on the top side of the map. And we do see that developing from Alpha Esports, trying to zone them off and cut off retreats.
Ooh, Rocky, he playing a very dangerous game right now, and the taunt will land on 2. Rocky gets deleted off the map. K-Babe starting that one up with kill credit, but it was a 4-member affair, and I think that might be the Baron started up here by Alpha Esports, Clement. The answer could come from Boom. It's still a possible steal. It's still a possible fight, but this is tricky.
I feel like I'm getting deja vu. That's basically the same play happening twice in a row with the same people involved. I don't think that was a great Baron attempt from Boom Esports because the lane state wasn't really safe enough for them to have a retreat outside of the top wave, and they just lost Gwen for that. But now we are in round 2 with Boom Esports on the ramp.
Oh, that's going to be the Yuumi ult coming through here. Just enough. Pop actually gets the kill onto Shung to start things off. In comes the hero's entrance. Xiao2 justice punches, but it's dodged away. Goes gold at the last second, and in comes 3Z to try and clean the fight up. Manages to take down Ruby, but now it's Holo's turn to shine as K-Babe holds the line for On, but there's no more members left. Going in for the kill. Tries for it. Can't quite do it. They turn their attention to the AD carry, and it is just a knockdown, drag-out brawl as On and K-Babe on a desperate retreat path. Rocky tags over the wall, looks for the needlework, finds one onto On, and they will claim the kill. K-Babe is getting cut off, and this is going to be a very, very delayed ace unless he manages to trick his way away, and I don't think so.
Yeah, Alpha Esports get a bit trigger happy to go for an extra kill there. They had the numbers advantage 5v4, but fighting up the ramp when you're already low HP like that is so difficult. Holo gets a great disengage here. That's a 2-man kick into the Yuumi ultimate to follow that one up. So It's just very misguided for Alpha to try to fight this way, and Wako was untouched throughout the first half of that fight. He was able to fire away on the right side. You can see the fight shifting over. Once Xiaotu goes down, very easy chase down, and I will say I really like this play from On, where he knows that he's dead, and he turns around and auto attacks for the extra 15 gold on the ward. That was...
Keep your eyes on the important things, right?
That was really smart, you know? If you know you're a goner, get that money.
Yeah, why not, right? All right, it's going to be Ocean Dragon, started up by Boom Esports here. This one should be uncontested, although 3Z does see it all happening, and no smite for that Camille, so not going to be an opportunity for steal, even if it was worth it. And we're getting to that point in the game, Clement, you talked about, where Boom Esports should start to pull ahead anyways. They do have the items to do it, or at least getting close to it on just about everybody with the 3 items on most of the carries. Rocky has had a bit of a rough game this time, so he's a little bit further behind. In the jungle, Alpha. Ooh, Solar Flare quick by Shung. Hasn't been able to find too many catches, but not entirely his fault when you're facing down a Sivir.
Yeah, that's a decent attempt coming in from Alpha Esports. They had a 5v3 advantage, and they're going in again.
Olo just goes in immediately, getting popped, and now all of a sudden the Boom Esports members are funneling into death. Pop gets taken down as well, and Ruby into the Hextech Ultimatum has absolutely nowhere to go. Rocky is trying to tag his way to freedom, and 3Z will follow Ruby over the wall. Rocky cannot get anything done. Xiaotu falls, but that's about it. That's a huge play by Alpha.
It was kind of baffling for me, for Boom Esports, because they just saw Alpha attempt that, and their side lanes were still clearing. Like, they were still en route to that play, and Holo went over the wall anyway. So Alpha Esports, once again, with a stutter step, able to trick out Boom Esports completely, and Boom Esports opted into a 5v3. So Alpha very easily cleans up that entire fight. You could tell how late Ruby actually arrived there. That should be the Baron going over their way, and let's watch this again. Nice wrap coming in from Xiaotu over the Raptor wall. He gets the shut off, 2 kills off the board right now. And look, Rocky still is not in the fight. So that was the most baffling part to me. I felt like Holo just overestimated how mobile he actually was compared to Alpha Esports' composition. Alpha, they do have a lot of chase down. They have a lot of stuns in their comp. And even though you're a Lee Sin, you can't really venture into enemy territory like that. It seems like just a bit of lacking in terms of object permanence. You just saw them 2 seconds ago there.
Yeah, it's definitely some questionable decision making, and you know, Boom is one of those teams that I think we've seen them like play at the top level, like we did last week against the likes of PSG, and almost win that game if not for some heroics from Unified. And in this game, a lot of questionable decisions, but also Alpha has been playing extremely well for their own part. Maybe a little too ham, maybe a little too deep sometimes, but they've been seriously setting up some good plays, getting their chase on. I do want to give a shout out to 3Z, who's just kind of quietly become a terror on this Camille. In that last fight, he chunked like a third of Ruby's health bar in like 1 hit.
Extremely high amounts of damage. If I'm Boom Esports at this point, I actually feel okay with the game situation. I'm losing a lot in terms of map control, but in terms of gold, I'm still ahead, and I have the scaling comp plus 3 Drakes. So if I'm Boom right here, I really don't mind giving up side lane towers when the enemy team has a Baron. All I want to prevent is giving over big team fight losses. So if I'm losing 3 members, if I'm ever in risk of just getting aced, I'm just going to back off completely. I don't even mind about losing top lane tower, really. I'm just waiting around to scale up more, pick up the waves, and then I go for the Drake fight. If not, I can still back out. I don't have to go ham on any of this. And Alpha Esports are going to be the ones that have to challenge me in terms of better mechanics and gameplay here. So you know, I think Alpha is doing the right thing by continuously just forcing into the top lane, see if they can get anything in the meantime. But I also like the way Boom Esports is defending this. They're walking very far behind their pink ward line. They're not really risking any members by going over the red wall. They're just staying very close to their base and trying to scale everything through.
Boom just needs to buy a little bit of time. They are hanging on, and at the moment, they have been able to stop the tower pushes, so credit to them on that. Alpha, with their Baron buff, have only been able to get so much in this game. But at 29 minutes, man, we have had an action-packed, just brawl of a match here. A total of 37 kills spread across just under 30 minutes. I mean, that That is a lot of fun to see. Oh, K-Babe and Chung pushing way forward. This could be a trap as they walk straight into all of Boom Esports, but the cavalry has arrived. Here comes On around the back. Wako does open up with the kill as Chung still staying alive through all of this somehow. Boom Esports really turn things around again and pick up 3. Alpha, I don't think they expected everyone from Boom to be there, Clement.
Yeah, really puzzling play coming out from Alpha, and they pay with so many members. That's going to be 4
Might be
down.
more.
Oof. Boom Esports, they don't lose anyone for that one. So Alpha, 3Z, and K-Babe just chasing the first target they see. They even have a ward on the right side of the map right there. Oh, okay. They didn't drop the ward just then, but going in blind like this, it is so weird to see a play like this where they're just handing the enemy opportunities, and that's going to be the Ocean Soul towards the enemy team with a scaling team. Honestly, Boom Esports just can sit back and relax right now. They have tons of wave clear. It's Alpha Esports. They don't have any sizable buffs. It's going to take a Baron for Alpha to really crack the base. And
You can freeze frame the moment.
Oh,
You can freeze frame that moment and record scratch it because you could see that they realized, oh, we should leave. And then suddenly Ruby was on the side and was like, nope, goodbye. Yeah, Boomer just, they're happy to get handed that on a silver platter. Ocean Soul is just the chef's kiss on top, you know?
Yeah, if Alpha were just a little bit slower on that play, I think they would have gone out fine. They should have been able to secure that Drake for sure and deny the Ocean Soul going over. But I felt like they were feeling a little bit too comfortable with the fact that the bot lane wave was at tower. They just thought, okay, it's at tower, somebody has to react to that, we have a free chase down. But Boom Esports were actually on the inside track. They weren't really in the lane itself, they were on the left side of the bottom lane, and able to make it into the team fight over the wall with the Emperor's Divide. So, just really weird mistakes from Alpha Esports this game. Honestly, just their over-chasing is kind of, I don't really understand it. But I do think
like
that
they're a little overhyped about it. Like maybe they're just aware of the game timer or something. I don't get it either.
There have been good attempts for them, and their best attempts have been when Boom Esports solo laners have to deal with the side lanes. Those attempts I totally understand, because you have a 5v3, you can play pretty recklessly to get those engages down. Those I like. I like what they did in the red area where they tried once, it failed, but they came back with another try and it instantly succeeded. Those plays I understand. But when you don't see anyone on the map, that play ends up being terrible.
Yeah, and with all of the missteps that Alpha had made, allowing some kills to go back onto some carriers that have had a bit of a rougher game, definitely want to direct the attention to Wako because he's starting to become a little terrifying. And, if there's one thing I know about late game Sivir, it definitely starts to hurt. Oh, K-Babe? Yeah, you better run away. That could be trouble.
Yeah, if you ever get slowed down, it's incredibly daunting to get away from this composition. You all have the Sorelia's Grudge ready, and with the Ricochet, that means your entire team gets slowed down. So, if Alpha Esports ever go into an engagement, they have to win out from the start. If they ever lose, then Boom Esports has a very easy time chasing it down completely. And I want to see what Alpha does. I don't think cutting the wave is the right move, because you open yourself up to just being chased down on either side.
Yeah, it looks like they might want the fight, though. Rocky actually gets taunted up, but into his own mist, he's able to do a lot of damage onto Xiaotu, who's forced to pop the stopwatch, and Wako! Whoa! That damage was huge! And meanwhile, 3Z just gets pinballed back and forth. Shung will get collapsed on, and it's On and K-Babe running for the hills as Boom Esports march down mid lane.
Okay. That was very interesting chain of events. For Boom Esports, that was pretty easy pickings right there, because you saw Trundle on one side, you just open up on the other side. You have the movement speed to chase it down with On the Hunt, and I don't really understand what Alpha Esports were doing here. They basically opened themselves up to the engage, and they could lose the game right off of this.
I think they just might, Clement. That's going to be one Nexus turret looking for the second as K-Babe is trying to save the game for his team. The Yumi ultimate comes through, and they're going to be able to cut through health bars. And that will be the end of it as On just hops back to the safety of his fountain. Boom at 35.5. Close it out.
Congratulations for Boom for surviving the onslaught earlier on. There were quite a few risky spots for Boom. You had a great start from K-Babe getting the early kill, the ganks going, and starting to roam across the map. on the Galio and Camille, but they were able to come back by setting traps of their own, knowing that, honestly, judging from Alpha Esports this game, that they were very likely going to go over aggressive. They were taking paths that were not directly from the lanes, willing to give up some waves to make sure that they get good punishes into the middle phases of the game, secure the Ocean Drake. And, you know, I want to say more about them, but honestly, to me, it feels like Alpha probably threw this game a little bit more than Boom Esports secured it at the end.
Hey, you know, the thing about throws, Clement, is someone's got to be there to catch the ball, right? So
True.
I do want to give Boom credit for realizing that they were really starting to fall behind and fall into the trap. It was definitely a lot of mistakes in like condensed areas, in jungles especially. It felt like both teams kind of started losing their way. But Boom, you know, they had the scaling factor on their side. The critical control of the Drakes really started helping them. And Wako, after kind of a laning phase where he just got sort of bullied, managed to come into this late game and just dish insane amounts of damage. Probably helped by the Yuumi a little bit, but yeah, it was impressive to see him being able to chunk everybody on Alpha out at the end of that.
Yeah, I love the build coming out from him. This is a build we see a lot with Sivir these days, just the armor pen build. A lot of times teams are not really running full tanks outside of the support position, so you get to chunk out on the entire team. He gets extra movement speed, and I just felt like Alpha forgot about On the Hunt. They were trying to cut the wave with K-Babe, and even after K-Babe saw the rest of Boom Esports leave the side lane brush, he still went forward to cut the wave, which I think Rocky had the absolutely correct idea. You just go forward, and they open up onto Xiaotu. The Galio didn't even get the ult in that game before dropping, and that was it. So just better usage of the tools coming out from Boom Esports side to find the winning team fight, which, you know, I as a coach, whenever I say something beforehand, I said like, oh, you shouldn't do this because this will happen, and then it happens directly on stream, on stream. I feel really mixed because at the same time, I feel like it's kind of obvious. I feel happy that I'm right, but I also feel sad that the team just went for it anyway and just got kaboomed.
Oh, yeah, it is always a little unfortunate to see something like that happen. Now, Alpha do lose this one, but I do think that they played a lot more coordinated in the early stages of the game. They made a lot of incorrect decisions, but they made them together. And, you know, that does count for something. We're seeing this team develop. We're seeing some players start to stand out. I want to give 3Z some credit, but our man of the match, of course, will be Ruby on this Azir. He really started to fire it down and honestly play without any fear towards the end, cutting the wave, putting up the Sun Disc, and still being able to stay safe enough to pincer the rest of Alpha in that final fight.
I think Ruby gets a solid A+ for just keeping himself alive. He kept pushing the wave over and over again. So honestly, when Xiaotu left lane, I don't think Xiaotu's roams this game actually did anything. Like, two of his roams early on failed pretty horrifically, and Ruby was able to punish just by staying in lane and continuously getting those tower plates throughout the entire game. So well done on their part. And Boom Esports continue to rise in the standings, being a very solid challenger here. One of the few teams I feel very comfortable in saying has made great upgrades over the spring split.
Absolutely, and still shuffling their jungler, but I like what Hollow brought out again. That is going to be it for this first game. We'll be back with the rest of our start of this week 4 right after this break.